Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, folks? JT here with another Chart Talk Live brought to you by Xtrades. Hope everybody's doing well. Let me get screen sharing started. There we go. All right. What's up, Navy Plum? Good morning. Good to see you. What's up, Jinx? Theta Cartel, good to see you. Hope you all are doing well. What's up, Daniel? Good to see you here. All right, so let's dig in. Let's get to work. What do we see in here in the markets in general? Obviously, with all the craziness that's going on in the world right now. So we'll take a look at this ES chart. We'll go through some trade plan recaps, and of course, we'll get to work on some new trade plans and take any questions you guys might have as we make our way through this morning's session. So feel free to start participating in the chats. Let me get my, there we go. I lost my YouTube chat window there. All right, so what are we seeing here on ES? We are actually seeing some interesting signs of things trying to perhaps begin a new bullish trend here. I am still quite a bit skeptical about this. This is a weekly trend line that we've been under for quite some time now. So really what matters the most is where we close this week and can we maintain price action above this downtrend. But it does look like here on the 2-hour chart that we have broken above. We are back testing and finding support on it. So those are all good signs. 200 SMAs coming down here. We're actually trying to flip that to support, but still it's trending to the downside. We also still have the 333 SMA overhead and with some confluence right there at that 6702 level. So that will be an interesting level if we wind up testing that sometime here today or possibly even tomorrow. How we respond to that type of price action and that particular confluence of resistance. So keep your eyes on that. But again, based on the charts and nothing else, and again, I've said this multiple times, that's really what we should be spending our time focused on. Don't get hung up on trying to chase the news or figure out what's going to happen next with the war in Iran or anything like that. Just focus on the charts and you'll have a much easier time in these markets, and also you'll maintain probably a larger degree of your sanity. So, but again, we are seeing some signs of trying to break out of this corrective move. We're not really, it won't really be confirmed until we see how this weekly candle closes, but the best signs we've seen so far, even on some of these smaller time frames, that the market is trying to shift back towards some upward momentum. So again, 6605, holding that as support is going to be key for bulls. Bears holding that 6702 as resistance with that confluence is going to be key for them, for bears. So again, just make sure that you are staying nimble. Again, things are clearly very indecisive right now. We saw pretty anemic volume and price action on SPY yesterday. I believe a lot of that's in anticipation of what will or won't happen with this 8 p.m. Deadline that's been, I guess, imposed, if you will, on Iran to open the strait, make some kind of deal, do whatever, or else the threat is that the civilian infrastructure is going to start to be attacked, which is obviously not a great thing. And if we do see that start to play out, we could see this downside move pick back up and find ourselves right back below this trend line. So be careful. We're not quite out of the woods yet, but certainly the most positive signs that I've seen as far as bulls putting up a fight in several weeks. So just, again, keep your heads on a swivel. No need to feel like you need to make any big moves just yet, but certainly we are seeing the first signs of a potential shift back to the upside. So early still, but we'll wait for confirmation as always. What's up, Chris? Good morning to you, brother. Hope you're doing well. All right, let's get to some trade plan recaps, and then we'll get to work on some new trade plans here live together. So if you all have any ticker requests, feel free to start dropping those in the chats. If you have any questions, plural, feel free to drop those in the chat as well. All right, so let's get to some trade plan recaps. Let's see how those have played out. We've got MU here, Micron. We did this trade plan last Tuesday, and going into the close on last Tuesday, it did give us a break above our call entry, and from there ran pretty much all the way to PT3 and then some. Of course, with the markets and the volatility, things pulled back, caught that PT1 as support, and then bounced, and now we're continuing to try to flip that PT3 368.82 to support. But overall, this trade plan's played out beautifully, broke to the upside, gave us all our price targets without ever really hesitating or looking back. So great plan, great execution for those who followed on MU. TSM, we also did last Tuesday. It did also give us a breakout, but a little bit earlier into the day on Tuesday, and then ultimately pushed for PT2 plus, and then again kind of followed what we saw with MU and the markets in general with that big pullback, pulled it back right to that key buy pressure there on NTS here on the hourly chart. That held really nicely and pushed it back up to PT2. Now trying to flip this 333 SMA to support here pre-market. And if we get a break back over PT2, we could finally see that move finish up to PT3, taking us up to 357.06. So keep an eye on TSM. It potentially still has some upside to play out here, especially if it continues to hold 331.55 as support. HIMS, we did a downside only plan last Tuesday. Nothing has happened with that downside plan yet. We've held that support so far and even tried to make higher lows. Rejection of the 200 SMA there, though, on the 4-hour chart, and these SMAs are still very bearish for HIMS. So HIMS, lots of pressure on it. Could be retesting this 1846 support before we know it, and if it loses that, we could see it pull back down toward the low teens and possibly as far as 1417, which could be a decent buy the dip level. We saw this demand zone hold nicely last time, and that's what sent it back to the upside. So keep an eye on that. If we get another test of that 1417 top of that demand zone, could be a decent dip buy opportunity. I would certainly recommend doing that with shares and planning on holding longer term if necessary. So that's how that HIMS plan is looking. Then last Thursday we did gold. Gold has kind of just been in a holding pattern, going sideways, holding above the put entry, but hasn't given us a confirmed break to either side of our intended entry levels. That's below 420.61 or above 444.19. So gold, like I said, just pretty much sideways since we did our plan for it last Thursday. And then last but not least for the recaps, Apple, we also did this plan last Thursday. Did give a breakout pre-market yesterday and ultimately got hung up there at PT1. Big sweep overhead there, but back below the call entry, holding above the stop loss average down level on the call side. So this one, if we're holding in this range, keep an eye on Apple. We could see this upside plan play out again, although I do expect that we probably won't see a lot of action in the markets until possibly tomorrow or until we get some sort of a tweet or whatever that indicates a change in the trajectory of this, potential attack that keeps being advertised as taking place at 8 p.m. tonight. So I would say bulls certainly crossing their fingers for another Taco Tuesday. So that is our trade plan, or those are our trade plan recaps. Let's get to some new ticker requests here. We've got new trader in the mix, Theta Cartel. We'll take a look at you. Please review Wolf. Sure, we did Wolf a while ago. I'll take a quick look at it, and then we'll get to that trade plan for you. So Wolf, we did a couple of Thursdays ago, or the Thursday before last, I should say. Played out to the downside, took us right down to PT2 there at 13.25 for puts. Bounced from there, and looks like as of yesterday, finding resistance on the back test of that put entry level again there at 1584. Trying to hold the 200 SMA here on the 2-hour chart as support. Let's check this hourly chart real quick. Yeah, 200 and the 333 below it, trying to hold those as support on the hourly chart. So on a couple of time frames, trying to flip these SMAs back to the bullish side. But overall, Wolf played out really nicely. We didn't get all three price targets, but again, we don't always get all three. We got two, and that second price target turned out to be a nice dip buy opportunity there. So that's a quick review on Wolf for you, Turtle Trader. All right, let's get to our so Unity Software. We did a trade plan on this, I don't know, at some point recently, it looks like. And we're kind of right back in this range here that we were looking at before, over 2246 or below 2079. So that's kind of our waiting for a confirmed break to either side. All right, let's take a look at this, and let me organize these levels real quick. There we go. All right. What are we gonna do with you? I want to see one thing real quick where that little spike took place. So that was right at the open. Yes, you. Let's see. Oh God, yeah, I gotta get this piece of software on here so I can easily scroll these charts again. I keep forgetting to do that on this new laptop. So this is an interesting level right in here, and I wonder if that's about where we rejected. Let's see. Yep. Yeah, right there. Okay. Question is, what kind of upside does that open up? Let's take a look at this. Interesting level right here as well. I want to see. Oh, let me get back to this hourly chart. That'll make it easier. Yeah. Okay. This level could be just a little bit higher. What was that? A daily level? Yeah. Tiny adjustment there. I think that makes for a good second price target. Third upside target. Where is that going to take us? There is this ER fair value gap that is probably going to try to push back through to some extent. How far back will we have to go? Let's see. I want to see what this looks like. Interesting level here. Let's see if that makes sense for a PT3 for calls for this plan. Came just shy of it there on that test, but ultimately did flip and push off of what we have as PT2 right now. I don't want to get greedy, especially in the current market conditions, thinking that we are going to push potentially as high as 2741 as it tries to go back through that earnings report drop. Yeah, let's leave that where we've got it at PT3. Again, in the current market conditions, especially for upside, I recommend being a little bit more conservative. Be ready to take those profits. All right, so that's the upside figured out. Let's figure out where this looks interesting for a downside trade. Hmm. This is an interesting level here. And that one. Uh, Thinking something like this, but the thing I don't like about the way that this is set up, at least where it's at currently, is it's not a great risk to reward setup here on this potential downside plan. Also, don't really see myself making a case for a different stop loss. Well, then, all right, yeah. I say that this is just got to be a little bit patient before this downside does look like it gets into a better spot for better risk reward. So flip that potential entry there. Come on. There we go. Then we start looking for these downside targets, taking us pretty close to 1972. Could be just a little bit higher though. Yeah, I would make that slight adjustment. Also gives us a nice confluence there on NTS. Below that, I think we're looking at about just a little bit higher. Yeah. Right there at 1916, third target. Right here. All right, that gives us our trade plans. Let's get these locked in. So we're 23.34, 24.28, 25.10, 25.91, stop loss at 22.64, 20.79 for the put entry, and 21.43, not a shared stop loss average down. There we go. All right. Get this dialed in right there. Delete that in the way. All right, here we go. Here comes your U live stream plan. And let's get this over in the Elite chat so we can set our alerts. All right, that's there. Let's save our template. And of course, get our alerts set. All right, that all looks good. All right, so let's talk through this one last time, and then we'll get to work on some more trade plans here. What are we looking for on U? We are looking for a break over 23.34. That should give us price targets at 24.28, 25.10, and 25.91 with a stop loss average down at 22.64. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 20.79. That should bring price targets at 19.84, 19.16, and 18.23 with a stop loss average down at 21.43. Those are your U live stream plans. Let's go. All right, what did we have next? We had XOM for Chris, getting into the oil game. Let's take a look at XOM. Well, it's clearly been quite a while since I've looked at Exxon. Let's clean this up real quick. Yeah, those are old. All right. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. So let's just focus on price for a second here. Make it rain. That's more of like a shower, just right on top of the head. All right. Yeah, this is all-time high status for XOM. Interesting level there, but nothing confirmed on this weekly chart. So where is this level? Yeah, it's right about here. Uh, hmm. This is our current all-time high here on Exxon. Looks like, let's see. Could be wrong about this. Yeah, I am wrong about this. Trying to find a good trend here because we're going to need some trend-based fib extensions. Is that even a little bit lower? Pretty close there. All right, let's take a look at that. Yeah, right about there. All right, let's get back to our price action. All right, we're gonna need to go to some smaller time frames here. Small little gap that opened up right there. Let's see. Yeah, right there. Let's go one more time frame down here. Yeah, I think there is something sitting right there, support and resistance wise. And yeah, right about there. All right. Well, that looks pretty solid to me, at least solid enough for us to start to put together our trade plan. 200 SMA coming up, adding some confluence right there at that trend line. So where does this get interesting? I certainly would not want to be early trying to short oil. There will be plenty of retracement to play to the downside when this does all start to find some sense of normalcy. That level's a little bit higher. Right about there. And third price target. Small adjustment to this level. All right, so that's the downside. Where does upside start to look attractive? Yeah, I'd want to see this 167.48 out of the way. Small, tiny adjustment to this level here for stop loss average down. Hmm. It's an interesting rejection there, but I don't really see a lot of confirmation around it. Yeah, I can kind of make a case for that. 171.18, 174.39. All right, let's take a shot at that being a potential resistance, that high a day from last Tuesday. Oh, I did set those off just a little bit. That's probably why that other one needed to be adjusted down. was a little too far zoomed out there when I put those in. So what I will say about this, we're going to go ahead and set PT3 at all-time highs. They're at 176.43 or thereabouts. But if it breaks out over that, there could be a big move to the upside for XOM. So I would say if you can establish a free runner or two on the way up to 176.43 and then just chase the rest of the move with stops on the way up. If we do get a break over that 176.35, we could see a pretty decent move higher, potentially up to 183.65, and that's just based on our fib extensions, which we've had solid success with in the past. We've called a lot of untested resistances with what I would call a fairly high degree of accuracy using those trend-based fib extensions. And when you're at all-time highs, well, that is your best educated guess because you got no price action to work with anyway. So, all right, let's get this locked in. Oops. Come on. Again, be very cautious, especially swinging anything in the world of oil right now. All right. What is that? Oh, that's part of those fib extensions. There we go. That looks better. All right, here comes your XOM live stream plan. And let's get this loaded over into the Elite chat real quick. And grab our link. Lock in our template before I forget. And set our alerts. Cool. All right, so let's talk through this one last time, and then we'll get to one more trade plan. Hopefully, gosh, we're getting close. Before I've got to go work on the SPY plan for today. So what are we looking for here on XOM? We're looking for a break over 167.48. That should bring price targets at 171.18, 174.39, and 176.43 with a stop loss average down at 164.59. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 155.28. That should give us price targets at 151.75, 148.06, and 145.11 with a stop loss average down at 157.88. Those are your XOM live stream plans. Make it rain or shower. All right, let's see. Saidu. What is Saidu? I don't think I even know what that is. It's an interesting name. Sidus Space. Don't know anything about this one. This is a new one. Satellite company 2012. What's the history on this thing look like? Yeah, I was going to say, I'd imagine this hasn't been trading for very long. Goodness. Wow. This one's really taking a beating. Okay, well, let's see if it's tradable down here. What's the volume like on this thing? Should have checked that when I went through here the first time. That's got decent volume. All right. Well, this is the current all-time low at 63 cents. Yeah, it's a space sector, satellites. They've got analyst price targets on it, averaging to about $10 a share. I know our good friend Panikin has been bullish on space names lately. MDA Space. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one. Just debuted. They have a. Oh yeah, good call. We haven't been a while since we looked at Lunar, and it does like to make moves, and we have had some really great plans for it. So yeah, I'd be all for taking another look at Lunar in the very near future. Space sector's hot right now. Oh, robot satellites. Now we're talking. It's like a Elon Musk wet dream. Satellites that are robots. Not much I can see there. Yikes, we're gonna run short on time here. Yeah, true. I agree, Theo. As always. All right. This is a little bit of a tricky chart with the way this thing is moved. That's on that time frame. Let's see. Let's see how that stacks up over here. It's about what I was looking at. Yeah, maybe just a little touch higher. All right, let's take a shot at this. This is going to be, I would definitely focus on shares for this one. I haven't even, don't have any clue what the options chain looks like, but could wind up in a really good long-term hold, potentially. Bam. Man, if Emeril Lagasse ever takes his restaurant business public, he's gonna be pissed that ticker's already claimed. Chris, Chris was on it already. We're thinking the same thing. Bam. Like what? That's got to be the name of my publicly traded company. All right, we're gonna do this upside only on Saidu, not to be confused with Baidu. All right, so long plan only on this one, but could be a good one. Again, long term, which is why I would say lean toward shares, but totally up to you. Yep, that looks good. There we go. All right. Here comes your Saidu live stream plan. Whoops, I didn't need to do that twice. There we go. Yeah, let's fix that. All right. And last but not least, all right, so let's talk through this real quick, and then we're going to wrap it up for this morning. What are we looking for here on Saidu? We're looking for it to break over 453. That should bring price targets at 545, 681, and 837, with a stop loss average down at 372. All right, folks, we're about 10 minutes out from market open. I do need to go get to work on the SPY plan so I can get that posted as close to 9:30 as possible. I want to thank you all so much for joining me this morning. We will be back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're very welcome, Navy Plum. So, as we always say here on Chart Talk Live, plan your trades, trade your plans. Remember, we're looking for profits, not perfection. So keep those wins big, keep those losses small, keep those accounts green. I will see you all in the chats, and I will see you back here Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Until then, take care. Have a fantastic trading day.